Hello, everyone, and welcome. Playing a little fighter today in the Goblin Caves. Have a double header for you guys. I've got a buddy of mine who just started playing the game, and for everyone who is new to Dark and Darker, I highly recommend starting off on the fighter. It's a very straightforward class to play. You can learn all of the mechanics of the class fairly quickly, and it'll give you a great primer to start exploring other character classes as you become more comfortable with the game. But for anyone starting off on a fresh fighter, like this one is, just coming in with base gear, I strongly recommend the Weapons Master perk, and that's what we're running today. This will allow you to pick up and use anything you find in the caves. The double header I've got lined up for you guys is 2 games, both of them on the fighter. The first of which is starter gear only. And the second one is more geared, and I'll talk a little bit about how I swap up my approach and change the perks around based on whether you're coming in a geared state or a non-geared state. As you can tell, we've started here in the Goblin Shaman Cave in the far northeast corner of the map. We're going to make quick work of that and then progress up to the bench, which is directly above us, and see what the bench has for us today. It's a great spot to hit early on. It often contains an item of common quality, but quite occasionally we'll have a green, blue, or even purple item just sitting there for the taking. Even if you don't clear the room, you can generally just duck in, grab the item, and then duck out. So again, running the Weapons Master perk here, this is going to allow me to pick up and use any kind of ranged weapon. Having a ranged option on the fighter is really good for trivializing some of the PvE, fighting the AI. I find a dead ranger here. I'll take what he's got, but he's basically just got starter gear. For example, like breaking this group of 4 goblins and 1 bug up at the top can be a little challenging without a ranged weapon. I procs one of them, take an arrow to the face, and then deal with him. He was already wounded, so I guess that's probably what killed our ranger friend here. And he has a green bow. And what do we have here? Oh, we have a green occultist robe, which is warlock specific gear. And as you've heard me say before, it's not even worth picking up warlock gear. It doesn't sell. As a community, they're completely broke and super privileged because warlock gear drops too often, in my opinion. And they pay like 50 gold for perfectly rolled epics. So like a green is not going to sell for anything that's worth your time. I'm going to end up dropping it, I'm sure, later on. But for the moment, I'm holding on to it. And that's often my approach with gear as I'm picking it up. Like, if I think it's going to vendor well, I'll hold on to it for a little while, but it'll probably get dropped for, sell items, collectibles, etc. On the other hand, lanterns are the exact opposite. You'll take as many lanterns as you can get. Even the gray ones sell for 10 gold, the green ones sell for 20, the blue ones sell for 30. Really worth your time to go ahead and pick those up. So I'm going to go ahead and top off with what little meds I have. The fighter starts with a starter bandage, so I've used that. I'm going to sit here for a second because I hear something on the other side of the door. So today has a patch going live, and that patch is changing matchmaking fundamentally. I think this is great news if you're starting out, particularly if you are looking to do some solo play in the Goblin Caves. If you are below level 15, you are put in your own matchmaking queue, and this is going to reduce to a certain degree the amount of bullies that are coming into the Goblin Caves, fully juiced and decked out. The Warlock's in a really bad state, like right there. I caught him fighting PvE. He's not really running the right melee setup to give me any kind of contest there, so I make short work of him. 3 hits and he's down. Did a little damage to me, but Warlocks also almost always come with a health pot. They start with a health pot. He's already used his, but I do grab a few items off him that are worth grabbing, including those boots. Yeah, but going back to what I was saying, today's patch is going to change matchmaking. So if you are below level 15 and you're coming in on, a starter character in starter gear, the likelihood of you running into super juiced players who are here to bully you, kill the lobbies, take all the loot out of the run, um, it's going to be reduced. I'm not saying it's going to be zero, but it will certainly be less than it is now. Right now, there's on average of the 9 players who are in a Goblin Caves, 2 of them are going to be using blue weapons, in my experience right now. So, you know, that's a great change. I think it's going to be really healthy for the community, particularly as the game grows. I know I evangelize Dark and Darker quite heavily. I'm encouraging all of my buddies to come in and give it a whirl because I think it's just a fantastic game. But it's pretty tough to send, somebody who has, got an hour on the game into a Goblin Caves and expect them to be able to compete against somebody who's got maybe 100 hours and who's bringing in, 1,000 gold worth of gear on a run. There's just, it's an insurmountable challenge. And maybe that's okay, but it's certainly not a great new player experience. And I think Iron Mace's changes that they're making today are very healthy. You've heard me talk in the past about the kind of bully experience in the caves, in solo play. And I'm really glad to see that they're thinking about the problem. I'm not sure this is the final solution, but these guys have shown a strong desire to iterate and try things. And if they don't work, they roll them back. So good on you guys. So I've heard a couple people around me. I'm kind of low health. I'm thinking, maybe I've got what I came for here. Let's go ahead and get out. I heard the hatch open. I run to the hatch, and we're out. So pretty quick run. 0 gear warrior. Picked up a few upgrades. 47 gold worth of sellables. Actually, I'm going to have to make 2 trips, which is my ritual here, to always have to return to the collector twice. But then, once again, the lantern's paying off here. I got another 50 golden lanterns. Evaluating a couple of those other gear options. Both those boots are decent for an ungeared warrior. There's the 3rd lantern. So 100 gold just in things that I've vendored so far. And then I'm going to sell this Shadow Mask. Rogue stuff always sells really well. Shadow Mask +1 strength, +1 all is going to sell for 50 gold very quickly. And we're on to our second run. So I'm taking a Geared Warrior in here. I have chosen to drop the Weapons Master perk because I'm running a crossbow in slot 2. And I'm running a Arming Sword and Shield. Now when I say geared, this isn't super geared by any means. This is mostly gray vendor-bought armor that I'm running with, in my opinion, the best shield, the heater shield, and I think this is a white arming sword. It is a white arming sword. But I have stocked up on some meds. So in my inventory, you'll see that I have 3 or 4 healing pots. I have 3 or 4 bandages. I have 15 bolts. I'm running a white crossbow, and it just makes engaging with the PvE a lot safer. I don't have to go up here and proc this ranged Bolo Goblin and the Shaman at the same time. I can pull the Bolo guy out and then deal with the Shaman as I see fit. Great start, by the way. You're right down the hall from the shelves. As you saw, I blew up those barrels and then just walked down the hallway, and now I'm, it's less than 40 seconds into the match, and I'm engaging with the Goblin Shaman who's guarding that sweet, sweet loot. Now, I do hear somebody around the corner fighting a mummy. I'm going to go investigate that after I make sure this is reloaded. Crossbow's a pretty strong weapon. Really good on the fighter. I have not looted those shelves yet, but I want to, but there could be somebody else beelining to this location, so what I want to do is go ahead and clear this mummy, access the protection shrine, which is going to give me an additional 15% physical damage reduction, and be prepared to defend the shelf against anyone else who's looking to push it. After you extract a few times on the fighter, like the amount of options that you have once you have some meds in your bag to be able to do things like tank the storm and take fights that are questionable, it really opens up a lot of avenues for you. I'm still sitting pretty here. I've got my second wind. I have a bag full of meds and a bag full of treasure. I'm modestly geared, but second wind really allows fighters to swing above their weight class in a lot of fights. I could run into superior geared players and handle them by virtue of the second wind. So that's what I'm kind of thinking about as I hear people fighting around me. There's definitely a warlock nearby. I've heard somebody breaking some containers near me. But once again, I'm not really that concerned. As long as I have second wind up, I've got a lot of options and the ability to kind of swing above my weight class in a fight. I'm being very, very cautious entering this room. This room is particularly dangerous, especially if there's a rogue in here who can go round up most of the room and then vanish off the AI onto me. I really don't want that to happen, so I'm moving in very cautiously for precisely that reason. We heard someone take an exit portal there. And it sounds like we're alone for the moment. Wow. Didn't see that goblin there, and I was crouching. He hit me in the head for almost half my health. Fortunately, I have some meds. There's been a lot of talk about the Slayer build on Fighter. I think it's really strong, but I think it's an advanced build. I don't recommend it. I think you need at least 3 perks to be able to push it. It requires a little bit better gear, but most importantly, it requires a really kind of deep understanding of the fight mechanics, whereby you're able to dip in and dip out of combat with both players and AI to make full use of it. So for newer players, I'm still recommending one of 2 builds. You either go a traditional kind of AR sword and board style like I'm playing here, or you run the Weapons Master perk from the first run. I think those are both, much more solid, more consistent approaches to the fighter solo for intermediate and new players. I think the whole Slayer build is really more of an advanced approach. Okay, I know there's a Warlock somewhere close by. The circle's starting to close. And this is the guy you got to look out for. Blow of Corruption, wielding a longsword, can be particularly dangerous. I don't want him to get any stabs for free. You see, as soon as I engaged, I popped the second wind. And even though he was geared, still able to make short work of him. It's really important that, 1, you don't let him get any free head stabs with that weapon combo, and then 2, that you don't allow him to riposte off any of your swings. So he's down, the circle's closing. As you guys know, if you've watched any of these videos, I prefer to be at the highest point possible. I find that the portal's more likely to spawn on the top floor. So I'm going to need to dip into the storm here for a second, because I'm going to assume that the last portal is going to spawn on the 3rd floor. And we're down to it. So I think that's 3 kills. There's probably about 150 gold worth of sellables in my bag now, and I make an error of decision making right here. I thought I was tanky enough to be able to tank 4 swings from these goblins while opening the portal. I was just rushed and foolish, when in reality, I should have just killed both of those goblins. I would have had plenty of time to open the portal and still get out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this kind of perspective on 2 different ways to play the fighter in the Goblin Caves. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and good luck on your next run.